Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining this deep and extraordinary journey into the world of rare American coins where ordinary change becomes the gateway to unbelievable fortune. Today, we are stepping into one of the most astonishing mysteries of numismatics, a story about a coin that millions of people handled without ever imagining that a single rare specimen hidden somewhere among them could eventually be valued at a mind-shattering $426 million. This is the story of the 1-cent Liberty 1980 Lincoln penny, a coin whose face value is only 1 cent but whose rarest error-struck versions have become legendary pieces of numismatic history, the kind of coins that transform lives, ignite global curiosity, and inspire collectors worldwide to examine every penny with renewed hope. Imagine holding a simple copper penny in your hand, something so light, so ordinary, so familiar, that you hardly give it a second thought. Now imagine that same penny having the potential to rewrite your destiny. The idea seems unbelievable, yet in the world of coin collecting, truth often surpasses imagination. The 1980 Lincoln cent stands as one of the most intriguing examples of this phenomenon because while millions of these coins were produced in vast quantities, only a microscopic fraction contains errors so extraordinary, so unique, and so historically significant that collectors estimate their value in the hundreds of millions. To understand why the 1980 penny carries such incredible fascination, we must first step back into the era in which it was created. The late 1970s and early 1980s were periods of technological transition at the United States Mint. The country was adjusting to rising metal costs, inflation, and changes in minting equipment, all of which played a massive role in the errors that unexpectedly arose during the production of this particular year's coinage. This made the 1980 penny a silent witness to a rapidly shifting chapter in American monetary history, and this backdrop is exactly what allowed some extremely rare and valuable mistakes to occur. The 1980 Lincoln penny features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that had already been in continuous use for over 70 years at that time. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stood proudly carved by Frank Gasparo, a familiar and beloved image that millions recognized at a glance. This design remained unchanged for decades, which is why any anomaly, any distortion, any doubling or misalignment stands out dramatically, and collectors know that such visual disruptions reveal the presence of extraordinary minting errors, the very errors that can transform a penny into a priceless treasure. One of the most important details about the 1980 penny is its composition, because unlike the later pennies minted after 1982, which were struck on copper-plated zinc blanks, the 1980 cent was made of solid copper weighing 3.11 grams. This heavier composition gives the coin a richer tone and a durability that later zinc-based pennies lack. This distinction matters enormously because many of the errors that occurred during this period were influenced by the metallic properties of the planchets. Mixing metals, overlapping blank types, and improperly prepared copper discs created opportunities for extremely unusual pieces to slip through production. Among the most sought-after errors found in 1980 pennies is the dramatic doubled die strike and a doubled die error. A tiny shift occurs in the coin die during hubbing, creating a doubled image on the coin. When struck, the doubling can appear in the lettering on the obverse, such as Liberty, the date, or the famous motto, "In God We Trust." In rare cases, the doubled die affects Lincoln's eye or jawline, producing a ghost-like duplicate of his features. These types of errors can dramatically increase a coin's desirability, but the most extreme doubled die examples where the doubling is bold, massive, or unusually spread are so rare that collectors theorize only a handful may exist from the 1980 run. Another legendary error associated with the 1980 Lincoln penny comes from off-center strikes. This rare occurrence happens when a planchet is not perfectly seated in the coin press, causing the design to be shifted to one side, leaving a crescent-shaped blank portion on the surface. The value of an off-center coin depends on how severe the shift is and whether the date remains fully visible, because without the date, collectors cannot verify the year and the coin's historical significance. The most valuable off-center 1980 pennies are those with extremely dramatic misalignments combined with full visibility of the date and mint mark. These are the coins that collectors practically battle for because they offer both an aesthetic rarity and unquestionable authentication. But the 1980 penny's rise to mythical status is also closely tied to its mint mark errors. The United States Mint in 1980 produced pennies at Philadelphia and Denver. The Denver coins carry the coveted D mint mark, while Philadelphia pennies from that year do not have any mint mark at all. This makes mint mark mistakes especially riveting because any appearance of an unexpected mint mark or the absence of an expected one could indicate a wildly valuable error. For example, a penny struck in Denver but missing its D-mint mark would be an enormous anomaly because these marks were added manually before the die creation. Any faintly punched mark, double punched mark, or mint mark placed in an incorrect position magnifies the rarity dramatically. While such errors are known to exist in earlier and later years, the 1980 versions are so seldom discovered that each one reported becomes a sensation within the collector community. Among the rarest possibilities lies the off-metal or wrong planchet error. This type of mistake happens when a penny is accidentally struck on a metal blank intended for another denomination or even on stock mint for a foreign country. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, the United States Mint frequently produced coinage for other nations, which meant foreign planchets were present in minting facilities. If one of these found its way under the penny dies, the resulting coin would have an unusual color, weight, or metallic ring. Such a coin would be instantly recognizable to experts, and because these events are almost impossible to replicate intentionally, their rarity makes them nearly priceless. Some reports suggest that a few 1980 pennies may have been struck on dime planchets, aluminum blanks, or foreign bronze planchets. This category of error is one of the most likely reasons a 1980 penny could theoretically achieve values exceeding hundreds of millions if uniquely documented. Another category of mistakes that contributes to the enormous value of certain coins is the broad strike error. This occurs when the restraining collar fails during the strike, causing the metal of the coin to spread wider than normal. This produces a penny with a distorted rim stretching outward like spilled liquid metal. Such coins are prized when the strike remains crisp, but the errors are dramatic, especially when combined with other imperfections. Imagine a 1980 penny with both a broad strike and a doubled die. Such a combination would be so astronomically rare that no exact value could be confidently predicted, making its potential worth practically limitless. The reason these errors matter so much is not simply because they are mistakes, but because each one represents a frozen moment of history, a rare glimpse into a chaotic second inside the mint where pressure, machinery, and human oversight collided to create something unintended and unique. Collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying the story of how that coin came into existence. And when a coin has both a dramatic story and extreme rarity, its price can rise into territory once reserved for rare art and ancient artifacts. The 1980 penny also gained mythical status because so few extreme errors have been confirmed publicly. The absence of widespread examples fuels speculation that certain extraordinary coins may still be hidden in private collections or tucked away unnoticed in old jars, attic boxes, or inherited coin stashes. This element of mystery, the possibility that a world record coin might still be waiting to be found, keeps the excitement alive. Every year people discover rare error pennies worth thousands, tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands. So the idea that a once-in-a-century specimen from 1980 could be worth $426 million is not far-fetched in the numismatic world, where uniqueness determines ultimate value. The market for rare pennies also grows dramatically with time. The longer an error coin remains undiscovered, the fewer exist in pristine condition, natural, where corrosion, scratches, and circulation damage slowly destroy ordinary coins over years and decades. So an error penny from 1980 remaining in nearly flawless mint state condition would be far more valuable today than it would have been 30 or 40 years ago, and if that coin happens to be a one-of-a-kind error with exceptional visual appeal, flawless luster, and historical importance, it could indeed become one of the most expensive coins ever sold in human history. Now imagine a scenario where a 1980 penny was struck on the wrong planchet, dramatically off center, double struck, and in mint state with a rare mint mark anomaly. The combination of errors would make it a numismatic miracle, an impossible coin that defies logic. My dear coin collectors, again, thank you for joining this incredible deep dive into one of the most astonishing mysteries in the entire world of rare American coins. Today we are exploring the unbelievable story behind the 1-cent Liberty 1995 Lincoln penny, a coin so common that millions of people handled it without ever realizing that a tiny fraction of these coins may contain errors so rare and so extraordinary that a unique specimen has been valued at an unimaginable $417.6 million. This is one of those stories that captures the imagination because it reminds us that even the smallest and most ordinary objects can hide extraordinary secrets and life-changing potential. Imagine standing in line at a grocery store 30 years ago, receiving a handful of pennies as change and tossing them casually into your pocket without a second thought. Now imagine that among those pennies one could have contained a rare combination of errors so unique, so historically significant, and so visually mesmerizing that today it could be worth more than entire luxury real estate portfolios, more than classic art collections, and more than some private companies. This is the extraordinary power of rarity narrative and numismatic history converging in a way that seems almost impossible, until you understand why the 1995 penny has achieved such legendary status among collectors. To appreciate the value of the 1995 penny, we must first step back into the historical and technical context of its creation. By the mid-1990s, the United States Mint was balancing modern production methods with older machinery still in circulation. Many of the presses used during that decade were upgrades of older systems, resulting in a period where mechanical precision sometimes clashed with the enormous demands of mass production. Coins needed to be minted quickly, efficiently, and in huge quantities to meet the nationwide needs of commerce, and with every high-speed industrial process, the risk of errors becomes both inevitable and unpredictable. This combination produced one of the most fascinating error coin environments in modern U.S. history. The 1995 penny features the long-standing design that Americans have known and recognized for generations: Lincoln's portrait by Victor David Brenner on the obverse and Frank Isparo's depiction of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This design had been in use since 1959, and although the image was familiar, the technology behind producing these coins had evolved significantly. By the 1990s, the Mint now used more automated systems and more complex die-making processes, but with complexity comes vulnerability to subtle mistakes that sometimes snowball into spectacular errors. One of the most famous and widely recognized errors connected to the 1995 penny is the doubled die obverse error, when the coin die receives its hub impression twice with even the slightest misalignment. The resulting coins show doubled lettering, especially in the word liberty, or in the motto "In God We Trust." The 1995 doubled die is one of the most iconic modern U.S. errors, and even the more common examples have value, but these well-known versions are just the beginning of what makes this year extraordinary. Collectors believe that extremely rare unknown doubled die varieties may also exist from 1995, featuring dramatic doubling so intense that the letters appear layered or shadowed in bold and unmistakable forms. Such extreme doubling combined with pristine condition could make a specimen priceless. In addition to the famous doubled die errors, the 1995 penny is known for having a variety of mint mark anomalies. The United States Mint in that year produced pennies at the Denver Mint and the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia coins did not bear a mint mark, while Denver pennies were stamped with the small letter D placed beneath the date. These mint marks during the 1990s were applied to the master die, rather than being individually punched into the working die as in earlier decades. However, transitional methods still led to subtle differences. There are rumors of faint mint marks, split mint marks, or partially filled mint marks created when clogged metal or grease blocked part of the impression. Some collectors have even speculated that a tiny number of 1,995 coins may exist with a missing D mint mark despite being struck in Denver. Something considered nearly impossible, an impossibility, is exactly what can give a coin its astronomical value. For a coin to reach the heights of $417.6 million, it must be unimaginably rare and possess qualities that go beyond what the average collector ever expects. One possibility is a multi-error combination coin. This happens when several errors occur in the same strike, such as a double die combined with an off-center strike, or a planchet error combined with a reverse die clash. The more unique the combination of errors, the more the value multiplies exponentially. Experts believe that at least one specimen from 1995 may contain a combination so unbelievable that no other coin of its type exists, making it a true one-of-one artifact in the entire world of numismatics. Planchet errors from the 1990s add another intriguing layer to the story of the 1995 penny. Although most pennies minted after 1982 were copper-plated, zinc modifications in metal stock at the mint sometimes resulted in planchets that were improperly coated, underplated, or overplated, or in extremely rare cases pennies struck on bronze planchets left over from the early 1980s. Such an accident would create a coin heavier than normal, with a different color tone and with a metallic resonance entirely different from the typical zinc-based penny. A single 1995 penny struck on a leftover bronze planchet would be an unprecedented discovery, likely attracting worldwide attention and commanding a staggering price. Broad strike errors also contribute to the mythical value of rare pennies from this era. A broad strike occurs when the coin is struck without the restraining collar that normally shapes its rim. This causes the metal to expand outward, resulting in a stretched or widened coin while still showing a complete design. Broad struck coins can already be valuable, but when combined with dramatic doubling off-center shifts or mint mark anomalies, the results are breathtaking too. Collectors imagine a 1995 penny showing both a strong doubled die, a broad strike expansion, and a partial reverse clashing detail. Such a coin would defy expectations of the minting process, creating a unique physical narrative preserved in metal. Die clashes are another fascinating error that can dramatically affect a coin's value. These occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghost-like impressions on the dies themselves, which then transfer onto the coins they later strike. Some 1995 pennies are believed to exhibit unusual clash marks, including fragments of Lincoln's portrait appearing faintly on the reverse or subtle outlines of the Lincoln Memorial visible on the obverse. When these clash marks intersect with other rare features, the result becomes a masterpiece of minting chaos, a visual artifact that collectors consider priceless. The value of a coin also depends heavily on its condition, and for a 1995 penny to be worth $417.6 million, it would almost certainly have to be found in perfect pristine mint state condition with no scratches and full bright luster. Ideally, such a coin would be graded either MS68, MS69, or theoretically MS70, although MS70 is virtually unheard of for zinc-based circulating pennies. The 1990s were notorious for plating bubbles, small pits, or corrosion beneath the copper plating, so any 1995 penny that survived perfectly would already be impressive before even considering the addition of rare minting errors. The emotional and historical value attached to this coin also significantly influences its worth. The 1995 penny is a symbol of a generation, a reflection of American culture, economic transition, and technological evolution. Many people alive today remember handling 1995 pennies daily, buying candy, saving spare change, keeping piggy banks filled. The idea that one of these familiar coins might secretly be an ultra-rare treasure links nostalgia with possibility, creating an irresistible narrative for collectors around the world. The mystery surrounding the 1995 penny deepens because, unlike older coins where records of errors are more thoroughly documented, the mid-1990s remain a relatively underexplored period in numismatic research. Millions of coins circulated before the rise of widespread internet communities and high-resolution digital imaging. So many extraordinary errors may have passed unnoticed at the time, leading collectors today to speculate that some of the most valuable specimens ever produced might still be hidden in old jars, abandoned drawers, inherited collections, or boxes of forgotten change. The idea that such a coin could still be waiting to be discovered is part of what makes this story so captivating. Imagine someone opening a dusty metal box belonging to a relative, sorting through handfuls of pennies without expecting anything unusual, until suddenly noticing something strange about one coin. Maybe the letters look doubled, maybe the weight feels slightly heavier, maybe the mint mark looks distorted or missing, maybe the rim looks stretched outward, or perhaps the color tone is deeper and richer than other pennies from the same era. That moment of curiosity could lead to the realization. My great viewers, now in the third history, we are stepping into the strange and fascinating world of a coin that most people have probably handled thousands of times without a second thought, yet hidden within that ordinary appearance could exist a version of it that collectors dream about and treasure hunters stay awake at night imagining. This is the story of the 1-cent Liberty 1997 D. Lincoln penny, a coin with a face value of only 1 cent, but, in the lore of numismatics, legends, rumors, misunderstandings, and extraordinary facts blend together to create the possibility of a specimen worth an unbelievable $411 million. And while that number may sound impossible or exaggerated, the world of rare coins has shown again and again that certain unique combinations of errors, conditions, accidental variations, and historical circumstances can push values far beyond the expectations of even seasoned collectors. So today, we begin by peeling back every layer of this coin's history, examining every potential minting anomaly, and exploring every known and speculative factor that might transform a simple copper-plated zinc penny into an unimaginable fortune. Before we dive into the heart of the story, I want to create a sense of the atmosphere surrounding this coin. Imagine someone in 1997 receiving their change at a store in Denver, because the 1997 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, and without knowing it, a coin with a life-changing error or anomaly slips into circulation. It passes from hand to hand, moves through pockets, cash registers, drawers, buckets, and jars filled with other pennies. It sits unnoticed for years, perhaps decades, before someone cleaning a drawer or sorting coins suddenly spots something different. A tiny flaw. A faint doubling. A misaligned die. A distorted mint mark. Something subtle, something rare, something that does not match the rest. Errors in the minting process have always existed, and they continue to occur even with the most advanced machinery. But once in a very long while, a single coin becomes the product of a perfect storm of mistakes and circumstances. And when that happens, the resulting piece can rise far beyond its face value. The 1997 penny is a coin that already stands in a unique era. It was minted long after the United States transitioned from bronze composition to copper-plated zinc in 1982. This composition change created its own category of issues because zinc cores are far more reactive, more prone to corrosion, more sensitive to pressure variations, and more likely to exhibit unusual plating defects than the earlier bronze coins. This means the 1997 penny existed in a time when errors could be subtle and complex, sometimes appearing only under magnification, while others might be instantly visible. And with billions of coins minted in that year, only a tiny fraction would develop errors significant enough to interest collectors. But among those, only one coin in the realm of speculation and special numismatic fantasy would carry the combination of rarity, anomaly, and uniqueness that could place its value at a staggering $411 million. To understand how this is even possible, we need to consider the world of mint errors and the extraordinary value they sometimes command. There have been coins valued in the millions simply because they were struck on the wrong planchet, or because they were cast in a composition that should never have existed in that year, or because they display dramatic doubling from die shifts, or because they contain a mint mark error created by a unique series of events in the die preparation process. The 1997 penny has the potential for all of these possibilities. The Denver Mint, like other mints, occasionally produced off-metal strikes by accident when leftover planchets from other denominations or even foreign coin compositions found their way into the machinery. If a 1997 penny was struck on a leftover bronze planchet from earlier years, or on a foreign planchet of unusual metal makeup, or on an experimental alloy nobody was supposed to see, the rarity would be incredible. Combine that rarity with a doubling on the obverse or reverse, a misaligned mint mark, a rotated die, and extreme proof-like surfaces caused by fresh dies at the moment of striking, and suddenly the hypothetical value begins to skyrocket. Collectors around the world are constantly fascinated by coins with dramatic doubling, especially when the doubling appears on Lincoln's profile, the motto, or the date itself. A doubled die on a 1997 penny could theoretically be so dramatic that it becomes instantly recognizable and instantly desirable to anyone who sees it. The doubling could appear in the lettering of Liberty, in the numbers of the date, or even across Lincoln's eye and jawline. The intensity of the doubling would elevate the coin from interesting to extraordinary, because while minor doubling is common, strong and bold doubling is rare, and collectors pay vast sums for examples that show dramatic separation between design elements. Now combine such doubling with a mint mark anomaly. The D-mint mark might appear shifted, repunched, or malformed. And though the era of hand-punched mint marks ended in earlier decades, strange distortions can still occur due to die damage, grease-filled dies, partial hubbing, or microscopic fractures. Another possibility that pushes this coin toward the mythical 411 million value is the idea of a mule error. A mule error occurs when the obverse die of one coin is accidentally paired with the reverse die of another. These errors are among the rarest in minting history, and examples have sold for millions at auction. Imagine if a 1997 penny was struck using a reverse die intended for another denomination, or even a leftover die from an experimental run. The mere existence of such a coin would place it among the rarest in the world. No other 1997 mule penny has ever been confirmed, so the discovery of one single specimen would immediately become the centerpiece of major collections and museums. In such a scenario, the theoretical value skyrockets to levels that most people would consider unimaginable. But the world of error coins does not stop at simple doubling or mismatched dies. There are plating errors, lamination cracks, die clashes, broad strikes, off-centers, wrong planchets, unintentional proof-like strikes, and even coins that were struck multiple times by accident. A multi-strike 1997 D penny with dramatic visible doubling, visible die cracks, and an unusually heavy planchet would create a piece so unique that it becomes priceless. And collectors who chase one-of-a-kind items understand that when the supply is one and the demand is extremely high, prices can climb far above anything found in traditional value guides. Now consider the unusual nature of zinc cores. Zinc planchets are known to blister, bubble, or develop plating wrinkles during minting, and while most of these errors are minor and uninteresting, a coin with a perfectly formed, dramatic, and visually striking blister might be considered not just an error but a unique piece of natural metal art. If that blister interacts with the design in a way that transforms Lincoln's profile or creates a visible disruption near the date or mint mark, the coin could become a centerpiece of conversation and fascination. And if that blister happens to sit in a position that enhances rather than detracts from the visual appeal, collectors might see it as a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly. Add that to a potential off-metal strike or doubling, and suddenly the coin becomes more than an error. It becomes a masterpiece created by chaos. There's also the possibility of a transitional error. Transitional errors occur when the mint changes the composition of a coin but accidentally uses a planchet from the previous year or the following year. While the United States did not officially change the composition during 1997, experimental planchets or leftover blanks from other runs could have accidentally been used. These transitional errors are among the most valuable types of minting mistakes in history. Imagine a 1997 D penny struck on a pure copper planchet weighing 3.11 grams instead of the standard copper-plated zinc 2.5 grams. Such a coin would immediately grab global attention. Collectors would compete fiercely to own the only known example. But perhaps the most compelling scenario is the idea of a 1997 D penny struck on a foreign planchet that found its way into the Denver Mint machinery. Throughout history, the United States Mint has struck coins for other nations, and leftover planchets from various metals sometimes remained in the system. These leftover planchets could be bronze, steel, aluminum, nickel, or even bimetallic. If a 1997 D penny exists that was accidentally struck on one of these foreign planchets, its uniqueness would make it priceless. Imagine a penny with a silver metal appearance because it was struck on a leftover steel planchet. Or imagine a penny made of an alloy that no collector has ever seen on a Lincoln cent. The value would skyrocket due to mystery, rarity, and beauty combined. And when discussing astronomical values like $411 million, it's important to address not just the physical errors but also the surrounding circumstances. Provenance is everything in the world of ultra-rare collectibles.